has chosen to not stand for the national anthem. It is offensive. It is inarguable that it is offensive. Now, it's purposefully offensive. Okay? Remember, don't make arguments that you feel like have to be combined. Not all arguments have to fit together. It is offensive. Okay? It should be offensive. You should be appalled by it. Because the ultimate sign of disrespect is somebody disrespecting the country that you live in. But he did so with a purpose, which is his right to do. You're also allowed to burn the flag. I would never do it. Not just because I think it's ultimate disrespect, but having lived in other countries, I can tell you, we got some screwed up stuff going on. There's no question. Still the best place there is. There are people that are offended by my tweet when I first read his comments and heard this story, to which I tweeted 61 million guaranteed, hashtag very oppressed. My point was then and is now, and sometimes, whether it's a tweet like this or what other people are saying, I'm not one of those guys that says, hey, if you don't like it, go to another country. I think that's stupid. You don't understand discourse should be healthy. But just because you don't like the path that our country is on, just because you want to disrespect our country and still live and function and pay taxes in our country, you're allowed to say these things. That's actually what people have fought for a couple of 100 years, right? So he doesn't have to leave the country. I just think he's woefully misguided. And yes, I do think that the $61 million has a lot to do with it. Here's why. We live in a country where, whether it's athletics or now in politics, we have improved and continue to improve. In the business world as well. You can't be blind to it. You just can't. If the idea that there's black oppression, then how in the heck have we gotten to this place where there are more black coaches than there used to be? There are more black quarterbacks. The MVP of the NFL is a black quarterback, something that 25, 30 years ago, there was an amount of wisdom, maybe not a prevailing wisdom, but amount of wisdom that could a black man be a quarterback with an intricate NFL system. That was actually uttered by people 25, 30, 35, 40 years ago, which of course is false, is stupid. But it's been proven as such on the actual football field. We have a biracial president with a black wife, 2 black attorney generals, a black secretary of the Homeland Security, along with a black national secretary advisor. It doesn't mean that the overwhelming majority of congressmen and women aren't white. They are. But considering the content, like to people who are, don't you understand, at Muhammad Ali and Bill Russell, like, dude, that was during the Vietnam War. We were still trying to figure out a lot of different stuff. It was a different time. Okay, so let's get to the reason why he says that he's not standing, because the oppression of others. Now remember, his initial comments, and the writer for NFL.com who covered it will join us, 40 after the hour? 4 o'clock, excuse me. His initial comments were actually different than his comments when he spoke to the media 18 minutes. Okay? They were different, and he did go a little bit to crazy town yesterday. A little bit more to crazy town. I am not going to stand up to show pride in a flag that oppresses black people and people of color. To me, this is bigger than football. It would be selfish on my part to look the other way. There are bodies in the street and people that are getting paid leave and getting away with murder. So he is not standing up because he believes that there are murderers that work for the police department. That's what he's saying. Okay, I want you all to make sure and understand he is providing context for his own protest. As I told you before, he is doing something which is intentionally disrespectful, and he has the right to do it. And I have the right to tell him that he is not only woefully misguided, but calling police officers murderers is even more offensive, does more harm than good, and is inaccurate in the idea of, well, they're on pay. Anytime an officer is involved in a shooting, they get put on paid leave. That's part of the agreement between the officers' union and the government. Okay? So, Colin Kaepernick read some stuff on Facebook, and he's so pissed off about it that he's chosen to act this way. And so people who are saying, like, he's really mature and he sounds really educated on it. He also said yesterday that Hillary Clinton, if she was anyone else, would go to jail. Which, of course, a good portion of his support was far to the left, many of whom support Hillary Clinton for president. Like, whoa, wait a second, let's just forget he didn't say that. But he did. He called Donald Trump a racist, which I'm not going to vote for Donald Trump. I think it's become a clown show. I do think there are racists that support Donald Trump. I don't think Donald Trump, I would like to hope that a guy who's been a businessman, where you can work with people of all different, like, calling him racist, that's a big stretch. I don't think Donald Trump's a racist. And if you actually look at what the FBI investigator said about Hillary Clinton, he said no one would charge her with a crime. Colin Kaepernick read some stuff on the internet, saw some videos on the internet, and is really mad about stuff that's happened on video because of some of the violent acts of police towards citizens. And this is his form of protest. Let's remember that, was it Michael Brown? Was it the kid that was the hands up, don't shoot, right? Which, of course, went to the state and federal level. No officer was charged with any sort of crime, and we had a completely different view when we saw it in totality. That did happen, right? In Milwaukee, where there were fires and a mini riot following a shooting. That was actually a black officer, and there were no charges pending. Like, a lot of these things, we only see the headline and the story and the immediate reaction. Don't get me wrong, I don't think all policemen are right or perfect, or some don't overstep their bounds. And by the way, more white people, I think, said, 73% of the people killed by police in the last year were actually white and Hispanic. Look, it's too many. Too many people are dying, too much gun violence. And oh yeah, by the way, if we really want to get to things that are important to all of us, Sandy Hook Elementary reopened today. Are we making a change for those kids that were gunned down while they're sitting in the first grade classroom? Look, I don't mind what Colin Kaepernick is doing. I do mind. It was offensive. Right? He wanted to be offensive. He wanted to get our attention. And it is bold because he put his career on the line. And while you could say, wait, why didn't he have these feelings when he was a starting quarterback in the Super Bowl? Look, some of this has evolved over time. He even has talked about how it's evolved over time. And doing it as a backup who might get cut, you put yourself closer to the cut line when people see you as a distraction. This is a step further than what Dwayne Wade or LeBron, like, you can't argue with Dwayne Wade, LeBron, like, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, those guys are untouchable in the NBA. They are superstars. Colin Kaepernick is a former star. That's how he's viewed. Had a couple surgeries, fallen out of favor, puts himself as a backup quarterback, an overpaid backup quarterback, and now he's put himself into the spotlight in a way in which can easily be perceived as a distraction or a negative because of what he believes.